2000 Acura Integra GSR. It has the B18C1 in there, the whole Jackson Racing kit on, using a lot of the LHT products, the Grip Tech Pulleys, the Billet S tube, the LHT throttle body package, and then we're going to do our whole intercooler and show you how it works. This is all pretty much stock, except it has the DC header, which isn't the most ideal header for the Supercharger kit. This, we're going to try and utilize this, but remake the arm, because our throttle body is going to end up about here. You can buy the Supercharger fluid. A lot of places online sell it, so it's always a good idea to replace the fluid with fresh before you put it on. This is a game changer. I've said this so many times, but the texture difference gives the belt all the traction you need. And of course, as you see, the design, it's got the high walls to help the belt stay true, because the belt will actually lift under higher RPMs. Again, you see this has the smooth texture. This is offset. Now this is to speed up the supercharge, to give it a bit more boost. And same thing, has the texture. We have this in a 3.7 and a 4.0. If you're doing the 3.7, you want to do the B16 crank pulley, which we're going to put on this car. If you're running the GSR, you want to run the 4.0 upper. This is the 3.7. You see it right there. We have both in the store, both options. So let's get this one switched out. This would have gone on the alternator. Look at that, that's damaged pretty bad right there. Make sure you torque these to spec, and I usually put a little bit of Loctite on those too. This is the alternator pulley. This is the factory one, which is a single. It's pretty heavy, it's a steel. This is the LHT Grip Tech replacement. Doesn't seem that long ago since I was installing these kits, when I used to buy them brand spanking new from Jackson. This stuff is all getting kind of old now. I don't remember the company that's reproducing this stuff. It's on eBay, and we've tried it in the past, and it gives us all kinds of issues, to a point we don't want to use it. It's this shiny stuff right here. It's powder coated, and again, it might be okay. Some of it might be okay. We just had all kinds of issues with the belt alignment, belt flying off. These pulleys feel good. He does have two replacement pulleys. They're pretty heavy. They're steel or stainless, I think. They're not aluminum. They weigh a ton. These are in good shape. The bearings are good, so we are going to keep the Jackson stuff. There is a few bits and pieces. We're going to dig through his box here. Any of this reproduction stuff, I don't want to deal with it. It's just, I don't want to do it twice. Most of the stuff should be in here. Looks like the washers are there. I'll show you about the spacing of this. This is the factory lower alternator bracket. One thing to note, and I used to see this mistake so many times, this is the relocation bracket that comes with the Jackson kit. This is very important to take this spacer out. This slides through here, and this is what clamps onto the alternator. It clamps between this mounting point right here and that protrudes just like this one. You see that? So as your bolt tightens that, it tightens the alternator to this side. Very critical for belt alignment. Also, it stops the alternator doing this, because you can see the size of that hole compared to this one. Don't forget, install that spacer. That's the rear mount out of the car. It did bring us a hard race mount, which we just put in, but that definitely broken and separated. Look at that. This is larger than the B16. This is the pulley we originally designed our kit for, running the 3.7 blower pulley. We now have a kit that you can use this. It's the 4.0 blower pulley. This is the better option. B16 and the ITR are the same crank pulley. Not only is it smaller, lighter, it's designed to spin a little bit faster. It's not going to overspin the AC compressor, which is this one right here. Power steering is the same size. As you see, if we put these side by side, point of reference right here, this is an 800mm belt that we're coming from the B16 to the pulley, which is the outer pulley. This is how much room we have to deal with. So we have quite a bit of wrap, and we're not getting too close to this area right here. See that? This should be pretty much a standard size B16, B18 for this right here. I'm going to update our instructions for that. We got to figure out what size we need for the upper one. It's either going to be a 250 or a 260 inch. See, I'm flipping from millimeters to inches. Anyway, 800 should be your lower belt right here. I'm gonna pull this one off right now. You might have seen the Billet S tube in the store. It's quite a bit longer than this one, and obviously a lot more of a direct shot into the rotors. We do have a bunch of data on this. I really need to put it up on the site. We did a lot of airflow testing, and a lot of CFM testing, and also basically 3D modeling of the airflow, but this is a pretty much direct shot in there, and this is the same size as the 7mm throttle body we offer for that comes with the built-in bracket. I'll show you that as we put it together. Brings the throttle cable a lot further away from the end tank, much cleaner. This is a crude drawing of the supercharger cylinder head, manifold, supercharger, alternator. This is a very important bracket. Right now the whole supercharger manifold is held from the cylinder head bolts. What this bar does is it attaches to the bottom of the supercharger and attaches to the alternator bracket, basically triangulating all this. If not, all the weight is on these bolts and these bolts. What happens is that manifold cracks. There's cracks usually around here. This one that we did for him, we already repaired it. It was ran without the support bar, but this is an absolute must. It's a pain to get on. A lot of people go, well, I'm just gonna leave it. It is absolutely necessary. Don't forget it. When it comes to doing the plumbing, we have the reservoir right here. We mounted it. It's in the highest point. It's gonna make it easier to put fluid in here and kind of keep an eye on it. This is going to feed the intercooler. So these we've used a lot in the past. They're a cleaner way than using hose clamps. They're basically like a heat shrink. This is the one we're using right here. This is going to be a 180. It's going to disappear down here. This will be right here. This will make a swoop down here. I'll show you this. Just wanted to show you these. They're basically just like a big giant on this heat shrink. Very effective. Much cleaner than a hose clamp. This is the LHT throttle body package. Reason we have the bracket and cable and throttle body is to clear the end tank. It also gives you a lot more room around the fuel line right there. You see that pulls in this direction, gives you plenty of room for the cable. Look how much room there is around here. Gives you more room to work. So map sensor uses one of our map sensor adapters. That way it is sealing off that hole there, but it is drawing vacuum and boost from this hose right here. This one is going to be the fuel pressure regulator. This one is for the boost actuator. This is where we're running the reservoir. We're going to start offering these in the store soon. Maybe by the time you see this video, we should have these in the store. Heat exchanger. Everybody now sells a heat exchanger. We used to offer them as a kit, but when we used to buy these, the prices would vary anywhere from $105 to like $400. So it was to a point where we couldn't have a kit at a set price because this would vary. I'm going to start putting fluid in here in a minute. You're going to see it circulate. Nice thing about this, you can actually see the water circulating. This is a breather. We're not going to be using this. We are just going to plug this up just so it doesn't spray out here. But we'll cycle it, put fluid in there, you can see it. All right, so I just put a post up, and so you guys are commenting, asking about hoses. So I figured I should just kind of explain how a lot of the time we do it. If you go to your parts store, you can get hoses that are the right size that are pre-bent. You see this one is, it's almost a 90, it's pretty close, but that way you can get the hose to go where you want it. You can get these. This is the part number for 3/4. Nice thing about this is it will butt up real tight. You can push the hoses together and then use actually just one of these over the two, and it will keep it squashed down on here and it won't leak and it'll look clean. So that's just an idea. If you go to your parts store, you can often get a 90 with a 36-inch straight, or you can actually just find like a heater hose that has the shape in that you want and just visualize it, or get a piece of welding wire, make the shape, and then go visit your parts store and ask them if you can go to the back and match it up. We do it all the time. We know the people there, so they just let us walk around and do whatever we want. But that way you can get the hoses to fit exactly in the right spot. There's my join. Then we'll put that piece just over the two of them. It'll crimp down in there. You'll never know. So that one looks so good, it makes this one look like crap. So I'm taking this one off and dumping it and getting another heat shrink and doing it like that, because that one looks money. But as you see, we've got a straight going into a 180 right here. That's the way you do it, is with connectors, but just not that one. Do it like that. This is the Bosch pump right here. Here's your part number. We are going to be carrying a Johnson pump, which is very, very similar, a little bit quieter. I put these out on a pretty long arm to reduce some of the vibration, because these, you will hear it in the car, they get kind of noisy. This is, kind of think of this as like your turbo. This is the intake, this is the outlet. So this wants to be either connected to your reservoir, or the way I like to do it, the lowest portion of your heat exchanger. That way, obviously, the water is at the bottom, it's always feeding this. This you can run into either side of the intercooler, it doesn't matter, and then circulate it through your reservoir right here. This is the lowest portion. This is going to the lowest portion of the heat exchanger. This essentially is the return. See how much better that looks. We should be pretty much bled out now. See how well it circulates. Just had to take this out here. It was leaking, so I just put that in with Teflon tape, which that is not an NTP fitting. If I see there, that should have an O-ring. NTP would mean this thread would be tapered. It's not, it's a straight cut thread. So we removed the trailing arm. It has new bushings for it, right here. They're just old, they're not completely broken. Just amazing that they're in that good of a shape. So he has hard race right here. When you do these, pay attention to which side is which. See, it has a longer arm. Also pay attention to which way they come out. They come out this way and go back in that way, slightly tapered. Don't try and do the other way. You will run into issues. Right here, this is the boost line. You see it picks up pretty much instantly. This is obviously, see that 2600 RPMs, and see how flat the boost is. So with different cams, my favorite is GSR intake Type R exhaust. This boost would actually come down a little bit. You gotta remember, on a supercharger, boost is restriction. That's the air that the engine can't use. It's not like a turbo, it's not a compressor, it's a pump. You get this down to about 9 pounds of boost with head work, or obviously the cam combination, even a little bit bigger motor, it'd make more power. So this is it right here, 261 and 201, almost 202. I see our air fuel sitting at about 11.5, but look how nice that graph is. It's got our intercooler, the Billet S tube, the 7mm throttle body. This is his air box. It works pretty well, but from what I've shown in the past, the bigger the intake going to that throttle body, again, more quality of air. If you can come out of that throttle body, it immediately goes to a 3.5. But this is mainly the limiting factor. This is a 4.2-1 DC sports header. It's a little bit too small a primary, and of course the secondary is small, and then it merges into a 2, which is way too small. But good combination. We didn't change anything in the motor. Motor is a complete stock 2000 GSR, stock GSR cams. Again, cam combination, better header, better intake. You'd be 280, 290, somewhere around there. Maybe we'll revisit this car once he has time to experience it, see if he wants to do some more to it. So I have been running supercharged cars up and down this road since 1996. Hopefully you found this video interesting. The LHT grip tech pulleys are in the store. They are a game changer, no more belt issues. The Billet S tube and the LHT throttle body kit are in the store also. Just in the store, as you see this video, is the new LHT reservoir. That makes the install of the Supercharger intercooler kit much easier to bleed, much easier to fill. These kits are starting to get a little hard to find. If you do find one, make sure you go through it, change the oil, make sure all the parts are there. Looking at the pictures, I do know of a brand new Integra Type R Jackson Racing Supercharger kit still sealed in the box. A friend of mine has it. Not sure if that's something you're interested in, not sure even what he would ask for it, but let me know. I'll put you in touch with him. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, enjoy your cars.